everyone, welcome back to my channel. Last week I posted the first part of our 20-day trip to Hong Kong, a place that is near and dear to my heart because I spent the first half of my life there. If you missed it, check out the link below after you finish this one. Now, last time we ended with an exhausting day at Disneyland, but just being the busybodies that we are, we go straight back to more activities the next morning. Today we are going to venture across the harbor to the Kowloon side. There is a new mall called K11. Well, new is relative, new to me, I guess. Just like all the other malls, there are so many stores, some clearly beyond my price range. We got a quick bite at the food court, which had so many great options. Every time I go to an Asian food court, I wonder why can't we have food courts like this in the US? And then we went upstairs to Legoland. I highly recommend getting tickets online. Right as we enter, there are festive Chinese New Year decorations, and then we are greeted with some intricate models of different parts of Hong Kong. There is the Legislative Council building, the Wheel of Fortune, IFC and ICC towers, the Clock Tower, the Bank of China building, which is my favorite landmark, traditional temples, the Wan Chai MTR station, and there's even these little people in the displays like crossing the street or waiting on the train. This whole room also goes between day and night, and it really captures the vibes of the city at different hours of the day. After that room, we enter the general play area. There is an enclosed soft play section, and I felt pretty comfortable just letting my kids roam. But I will say that we apparently are very free range compared to the average Hong Kong parent, which is crazy because I think relative to like a true Montessori family, they would think we are too hands-on. So yeah, that's the fun of being in between cultures, right? There are plenty of staff throughout to help with workshops in the different stations. My kids are super social and they kept chatting up the staff and trying to play with them. A little further in, there's an area that is based on the Lego Friends show, featuring some of their main characters and buildings and a few Lego tables. And then towards the back is a baby toddler area with little animals and the bigger Duplo blocks. Off to the side, there's a race car section. There are tables for kids to build the cars, or I guess anything with wheels, and then they can test out their vehicles on the different ramps. It was pretty fun to figure out the physics of what makes a fast car that doesn't fall apart or tip over. That was a hit with the kids and adults alike.
It didn't break at all, huh? Good job.
It broke when I picked it up.
Oh, that's okay.
There were also a couple smaller rides, like kind of a shooting game and a 4D theater. I'd say they're overall geared towards kids that are maybe like up to 7 years old. We took a nice little snack break in their cafe, which served Starbucks coffee and other prepackaged items. And then we ended with a little workshop and learned how to make a little bunny because it was the year of the rabbit. It's going to sound like we eat all day because literally we just came from snack time. And that's because it's true. We got these little desserts from Tiramisu Lab. They looked really good. Overall tasted okay. And then we headed back to the food court and got some more pastries, some bubble tea, some noodles, fried chicken. And then we called it a night.
That's weird.
The next day, we went back to Disneyland. We got 2-day passes, and day 1 of Disneyland was on last week's video. For this time on day 2, we chose to drive there because my parents are going to treat the girls to an overnight stay at the Explorers Lodge. Also, because last time, going on the MTR was just so exhausting. I loved the travel themes of this hotel, the little trunks as coffee tables, the fans that kind of look like it's part of a ship, and the old school looking map, and kind of hot air balloon vibes in the elevator. My parents got a room with 2 queen-size beds. It came with a cute little amenities kit that doubles as a pencil holder for the kids to take home as a souvenir. Overall, the room was really cute and really cozy. After we have unloaded our stuff, we took the hotel shuttle to the actual theme park. Today was kind of a rainy day, and we were absolutely unprepared. So for our first attraction, we went to the PhilharMagic show, mainly because this was indoors. We got these 3D glasses, it was enjoyable. With it still raining after the show, we thought we would just go straight to lunch. We went to the Explorers semi-buffet, which, again with the food at the parks, this was pretty mediocre. After lunch, we had to rush to our booking for meeting Snow White. I kind of covered this in the first video, but the lines are really the worst part of this, especially today because of the rain. Everyone wanted to do something that was indoors, which made the lines a lot worse. The rain really picked up as we headed to the next ride, which was It's a Small World. Although the lines are long here, at least they're moving pretty quickly. Our kids loved the little boat ride, and for us adults, it's pretty relaxing to get to sit here for a good 10 minutes. Maybe it's just me being kind of a dork, but I do wonder how they decide what to feature from each region. Like, some of it felt a little stereotypical. It's Disney. It's best to just enjoy it as it is. After that, we headed back to the main street areas and got bubble ones. The shops were all packed and crazy. Again, the whole indoor thing with the rain. And then we watched a parade and got some ice cream. Luckily for us, the rain has become more of a light drizzle and didn't really ruin the parade experience. We went back to the Explorers Lodge for dinner at Dragon Wind. Honestly, I had zero expectations here given my experience with Disney food so far. But man, this was actually legit. Like, if this was in the city, I might actually go there. They had Chinese barbecue, a really good soup. The egg white conpoy fried rice looked simple, but was nice and flavorful. There was fish, vegetables. I got this mango grapefruit dessert with coconut milk. Overall, it was a nice, well-rounded, tasty meal. With our bellies full, we went home with the baby. It's way past his bedtime, and my parents and the girls headed back into the park to see the light show and fireworks. Per their report, they told me this was really loud, really scary, but also really cool. By the end of the night, they were just absolutely pooped and went straight to bed. This next day, we're going on kind of parallel timelines here, so bear with me. The girls and my parents slept in at the hotel, and then they went to the breakfast buffet, again at Dragon Wind, but this time it's more of a mixed offering instead of all traditional Chinese food. Supposedly, they each ate like 5 chocolate croissants, the stuff you get away with when you're with grandparents. They spent the rest of the morning within the hotel, browsing the gift shop, exploring the decorations, like this bridge that connects the rooms, which was pretty cool. And going to the kids' play area. Again, I kind of noticed how involved the parents are here within the play structure. It's really interesting. On our end, it was just us 3 in the house. It almost felt like we are proper locals. We headed to the grocery store and plopped the baby in this little seat on the grocery cart, which, by the way, has to be the cutest little seat ever. And we picked up some vegetables for a barbecue with my college friends that night. This was at a clubhouse at one of my friend's apartment buildings. It was so good to catch up after what seems like forever. Also, some of these meats and seafood items are just way fancier than like our backyard grilling experience with little hot dogs and wings and buns. These people are not messing around. Oh, and P.S. shout out to the grandparents for babysitting. Another day, another mall. This time, we're at hysanplace in Causeway Bay. This thing has like 17 floors retail space, plus additional offices above. Most of the upper floors are restaurants, and we went to Sanrio, which is a chain sushi restaurant. I promised my kids conveyor belt sushi, but unfortunately, they closed down the belt during COVID, so it's kind of just like a basic ordering menu when we went. After lunch, we walked around the mall looking at their Chinese New Year displays, and we stopped in the Apple store. We were there mainly because mom needed some help with her phone, so it really wasn't necessarily meant for a kid activity, but it turned out to be a lot of fun touching screens, and it was actually hard to get the kids to leave. We picked up some bubble tea and watched people at the skate park. I love that they have this covered but outdoor space in the middle of the city. For dinner, we went out on a date night at Chat. This is located again where K11 is, across the harbor. They serve Indian food, kind of a fine dining version of a lot of street food items. Everything was really good. The servers here also know how to optimize your video and photo taking. Like, they would adjust the table lamps for you for the best lighting, which I thought was really interesting. This morning, we started with a single-serve coffee from the cupping room. It's basically kind of like a drip coffee / pour over without having to have the entire equipment with you. Today, we are headed out to the Wanchai Promenade to look at some of the decorations at the harbor front. You'll see us wearing kind of bigger jackets here. It does get a little chilly in January. From the Wan Chai MTR station, it's a little bit of a walk to get to the waterfront, but luckily there are plenty of skywalks and bridges to take you there safely. We had to take a break mid-walk at Pacific Coffee to refill our caffeine and also get a snack. Finally, we made it to the waterfront. This area was decorated with photo ops and swings and various seating options. I want to say it's for Chinese New Year, but looking at some of the signage, it sounds like it also overlaps with like Valentine's Day. This whole area by the pier is completely free, and you get a pretty good view of Tsim Sha Tsui from across the harbor. Along the harbor and a little further down, there was a little race car activity. This whole area was pretty quiet with it being a weekday and kind of a chilly morning. As you can see, the cars move pretty slowly and it's perfect for little kids. We kept walking to look at the art and other displays along the harbor front, and it looks like some of it was actively being installed. We ended our excursion with a little playground time. It looks like there are these paddle boats that must be available for rent, probably more on a weekend when it's a little busier. From the Wan Chai Pier, we got on a star ferry to get across the harbor to Tsim Sha Tsui. The ferry is my favorite and also the cheapest way of getting across. You get a scenic view of the Victoria Harbor and both the Kowloon Peninsula and Hong Kong Island, and the views are equally interesting both day and night. This was my kids' first time on a ferry and they loved it. I'd say the skyline of Hong Kong Island as viewed from Tsim Sha Tsui is kind of the iconic Hong Kong skyline picturesque look. So if you're looking for a spot to take a good photo, this is a great area. And there's plenty of space along the harbor and you shouldn't have to fight with anyone for a good spot. We sat down and enjoyed some snacks. I introduced my kids to a soy milk drink that just tastes like nostalgia to me.
No?
The Tsim Sha Tsui ferry is also where the Clock Tower and Cultural Arts Center is, which are pretty iconic landmarks themselves. At the time of our visit, they were decorated with some Chinese New Year displays. We hung out here by the water, watching the sunset and watching ferries go by, and waiting for the buildings to light up. I love the way the light reflects in the water and the light dances kind of with the waves. It's calming to me. Fun fact, the 4 lines on this tower are actually a clock. So at the top of the hour, all 4 are the same color, and at each 15-minute interval, 1 bar changes to the next color. I was trying to entertain my kids with this fun fact, they did not care. I could really sit here all night and take in the view, but eventually it's time to go home to get dinner. We took the ferry back the same way we came, back to Wan Chai. And And this time, instead of walking all the way back to Wan Chai MTR station, we went through the exhibition center station, which for us going east on the island line, it didn't really make sense because it added an extra stop. But this was a new MTR station that got built after I left. And so I was just kind of curious what it looked like. It had nicer benches, and the trains are a newer kind of train too, with these really nice screens for ads instead of the pixelated text-only kind of ad. We started this day again at UCC. Quick shout out to this bathroom with a little kid-sized sink, and it's clean. Why can't we have this in the US? After breakfast, we went to Victoria Park to take a look at the flower market. There were a lot of different flower displays and plant vendors for Chinese New Year. Mom sent us there on a mission of finding something not too big for display at home. I thought the kids would like this one because there are flowers and it's pretty and it's fun to walk around, but they were not having it. So we quickly just picked out an orchid and called it good. Lucky for them, Victoria Park is a pretty big space with a few different playground options. We burned some energy there, that's more their scene, and they're all better. Victoria Park is basically between Tin Hau and Causeway Bay, so right after that, we headed over to Lucky Star Bakery based on the recommendation of a friend to try out their egg tarts. At $12, this is definitely more expensive than some other smaller bakeries. They also had a lot of other classic Hong Kong bakery items like the pineapple buns, and of course they have Hong Kong style milk tea. Everything we tried was really good, and we brought home some extra for my parents. Later that night, my husband and I left for a date night at the Conrad. You'll love this if you're a credit card nerd. If not, just skip 10 seconds. We had a $200 hotel credit from 2022 from our Amex Platinum that needed to be used at one of the fine hotels and resorts. And we found this weeknight at Conrad that was around $270. With the reservation, we get free breakfast and $100 food credit. So effectively, $270 minus $200 minus $100 minus the breakfast value, it was like -$dollars for us to be here. We had a gorgeous skyline view from our room, and we also get to see the island Shangri-La, which is where we got married. We went downstairs to the Golden Leaf for dinner. We took the set menu. I think that's really the best way to get some variety when it's just two people dining at a Chinese restaurant. Everything was delicious as expected and just so beautifully plated. I also tried a tea sangria. Basically, you get a little bit of refreshing fruitiness, it's not too sweet, and there's the depth of having some tea as the base. It was a good find. Service was lovely. I'd really recommend this. Afterwards, we went by the hotel bar to chat, get another drink. They serve this tasty spicy chip that reminds me of a childhood snack. We don't get to ditch the kids like this very often, and to have the opportunity so far away from home. In a real city, that was such a treat. I hope you're enjoying these vlogs so far. If so, please give this video a thumbs up and subscribe. I hope you're having a great day, and I will talk to you next time. Bye!